Near the end of Grandpa Tom's life, he started suffering from Alzheimer's more and more. But along with forgetting everything up to the names of his grandchildren, he also starts telling really strange stories about his past. The family just thought those were fabrications of him slowly losing his mind. At least, that was until they found a hidden box in Tom's attic with a lot of information about who their grandfather actually was. The stories had all been true. They had to be. The contents of the box confirmed nearly everything Grandpa Tom had been telling them over the last year leading up to his passing. From the funny ones to the downright disturbing stories. He must have never wanted them to know about this side of him. Why else would he have kept this box hidden so well? He probably only told them the story at the time due to his increasing Alzheimer's. They just wished they had believed him then. After a lot of debate within the family, they decided to inform the police of their find. They did not want to soil their grandfather's good name, but what choice did they have? But what did the family find inside the box? What had their grandpa kept secret about his life? And why did the family have to inform the police? Before we start our story, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Leo popped his head through the attic hatch. Many old things were up there, and they all belonged to his grandfather, Tom. "What do you see, Leo?" his sister asked impatiently. "Hang on," he answered. He had to take a moment to let everything sink in. These were the last items he had left of his grandfather. Leo lost his grandfather last week. He had passed away due to complications related to his Alzheimer's. But despite the illness, Leo had enjoyed spending time with his grandfather a lot recently, as the normally so quiet man had suddenly started telling wild stories. Leo never really believed his grandfather, but he insisted they really happened. His parents told him that this was due to the Alzheimer's. Tom actually believed these stories himself. Leo's his little sister, Gigi, did believe everything her pop told her. But she was only 4 after all. The death of their grandfather hit hard on Leo and Gigi. He was the only grandparent left, and now they had no one. Leo's mother had asked her children to help her organize his house. Tom was a bit of a hoarder and had many things they had to sort through. But they would never expect what they find in the attic. Leo's mother started in her father's bedroom. She sorted through all his clothes and found some strange items. She realized his whole house was filled with random and weird things. She never really noticed until now. Her father had the most bizarre belongings, all mixed up together in his house. She decided to categorize everything, but soon found out that wasn't possible. The items were just too random. How could her father live like this? How did he stay sane in this house? But Leo had already figured everything out. He always knew his grandfather collected strange items and started to pay attention during visits. His grandfather had a system in his house. It was a difficult one, too difficult for Leo to figure out. But he got on to a few things. His grandfather had every item in a particular place. Leo came to visit once and moved an item. When he returned the next day, the item stood in its original place. That must mean something. But Leo would never know for sure. His grandfather had passed away before he could ask about it. He assumed his grandfather would tell him eventually. But now he will never know. He roamed through the house, looking for clues, when he noticed a closed hatch. He wondered what would be up there. A lot of things to organize. So here we are. He had opened the hatch and found the attic. It was stuffed with old furniture and boxes. How could anyone have so many things? Leo's mother had heard the commotion and came upstairs. She didn't want her daughter to climb up on her own, so she took a look for herself. She sighed. This is going to take a while. Leo, Gigi, and their mother were done organizing for the day. They went home and got ready for bed. They missed their grandfather's stories. Their mother tried her best, but it was never as good as Tom's stories. "When I grow up, I'm going to be just like Grandpa," he says to his mother. Leo's mother kisses her kids goodnight and goes downstairs. She had seen a whole different version of her father through his thing. How could she never have noticed all the things in his house? She thinks about her childhood. Her father had told her the same stories he always told Leo and Gigi. But were they really stories? She grabs an old photo album. Her father was never honest about his past, always telling things that could never have happened. However, the thought of his stories not being exaggerated and it all being true started to spook through her head more and more. What if it wasn't his fantasy? She always wished her father would tell the truth. She felt like she didn't even really know her own father, and now it was too late. She couldn't shake this feeling off her and decided to pick the family book up again, to look through the pictures and memories they had made through the years. Tears roll down her cheeks as she flips through the pages. All these happy memories, all the trips they made, all the sweet summer mornings looking over the lake and not having to worry about anything. But were these memories even real? Was her father even real? She wakes up the next day, still lying on the couch. Leo and Gigi had already come downstairs. They had made breakfast for themselves and were eager to return to their grandfather's house. The house seemed to hold a mystery, and the kids were keen to explore it. Maybe they would find something about Grandpa's past. Leo's mother gave the key to her son. "You guys go ahead," she said, "but be care." She couldn't finish her sentence. Leo and Gigi had already run out the door. At this moment, her words meant nothing to Leo and Gigi. They were way too excited to go explore some more. Leo opened the door and went straight to the attic. He told his sister to stay down and play with some old toys. The attic creaked underneath his feet. Everything he didn't find interesting, he threw down through the hatch. Out of the blue, something caught his eye, and he went straight for it. He suddenly stopped in his tracks. He saw something unusual. It was a big old box with a keyhole in the front. He tried to open it, but it was locked. There wasn't a lock on anything in Pop's house, making Leo even more curious about what was inside. How could he open it, though? Leo tried to get inside his grandfather's head. He needed to think the way his grandfather would think. "Where would I hide the key?" he said to himself. The house was very big, but he was sure that it had to be somewhere up in the attic. That would make sense, right? He noticed a painting on the wall. It was a sloped wall, so that was really strange. He had to screw the picture on the wall for it to stay like that. He felt around the frame of the picture. At first, he didn't see or feel anything out of the ordinary, but after ripping the back paper off, aha! He held a big old key in his hand. It felt heavy. He walked back to the box and put the key in the hole. As he twists, he hears a loud click. This is it. Leo and Gigi were anxiously staring at the box and knew they had struck gold. It had to be something important, right? Why else would Grandpa put a lock on it? Leo opens the box and sees all kinds of binders and papers. He sees plane tickets and photo albums. He recognizes it immediately. These photos and tickets align with his grandfather's stories. Then he spots something with the words "secret" on it. He opened it, and his mouth fell open. His grandfather wasn't in the army after all. He was a spy for the government. Everything started to make sense now. This is why he could never tell the truth.